CJ Finance Limited. Recommend final dividend 29/5. Decafil Chemicals India Limited. AGM. The 18th of August 2023. Coral India Finance and Housing Limited. Payment of dividend. The 7th of July 2023. AGM. The 14th of July 2023. Mitra Global Limited. Recommend final dividend. Career Point Limited. Recommendation of dividend. Standard Industries Limited. Declared interim dividend 0.80 rupees. The 1st of June 2023. Recommended final dividend of 0.25 rupees. The 25th of July 2023. Heikel Limited. Recommend payment of final dividend 29/5. Arihant Superstructures Limited. Recommended final dividend of 0.50 rupees. Sungold Media and Entertainment Limited. AGM and record date. The 8th of June 2023. ITL Industries Limited. Recommend final dividend 30/5. Camlin Fine Sciences Limited. AGM. The 31st of July 2023. Thangamale Jewelry Limited. Recommended final dividend of 6 rupees. AGM. The 24th of July 2023. Issue of bonus shares at ratio of 1:1. Galway Technical Fibers Limited. Recommended dividend 3.50 rupees. LKP Finance Limited. AGM and payment of final dividend. The 20th of June 2023. Gokunda Diamonds and Jewelry Limited. AGM and payment of final dividend. The 4th of August 2023. Sansara Engineering Limited. Recommended dividend of 2.50 rupees. BK Nirad Limited. Recommend payment of final dividend. The 30th of May 2023. LKP Securities Limited. AGM. 20/6. And payment of dividend. The 13th of June 2023. Super Shakti Metallics Limited. Recommended dividend of 1 rupees. HEG Limited. Recommended final dividend of 42.50 rupees. HCL Infosystems Limited. AGM. The 20th of September 2023. Shri Arjit Pulp and Paper Limited. To recommend dividend 30/5. XPRO India Limited. Recommended dividend of 2 rupees. The 3rd of August 2023. AGM. The 10th of August 2023. Sundaram Finance Limited. Recommendation of final dividend 26/5. Gujarat Alkalis and Chemicals Limited. Recommended dividend of 23.55 rupees. Premier Polyfilm Limited. Recommended payment of dividend 0.50 rupees. AGM and dividend. The 18th of September 2023. Span Divergent Limited. Book closure. RACL Jertech Limited. Recommended final dividend of 1.50 rupees. E Limited. Recommend final dividend of 1.10 rupees. AGM. The 9th of August 2023. Elpro International Limited. Declaration of interim dividend 29/5. Signity Technologies Limited. Record date for payment of final dividend. The 9th of June 2023. Asian Hotels, East Limited. Recommended dividend of 2.50 rupees. Finolex Industries Limited. Recommended final dividend of 1.50 rupees. Prime Securities Limited. AGM and final dividend, the 13th of June 2023. Vedanta Limited approved first interim dividend of 18.50 rupees, the 30th of May 2023. SJVN Limited recommended final dividend of 0.62 rupees. Ramco Industries Limited record date for voting at AGM and dividend, the 3rd of August 2023. SAMKRG Pistons and Rings Limited to consider dividend, 30/5. Morganite Crucible India Limited to recommend dividend, 30/5. Morana Sugars Limited to recommend dividend on equity shares, 30/5. Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited to recommend final dividend, 26/5. Bhagwati Autocast Limited to recommend dividend on equity shares, 30/5. SMS Lifesciences India Limited to recommend dividend, 29/5. Competent Automobile Co Limited to consider dividend, 30/5. Dollar Industries Limited to consider dividend, 30/5. National Fittings Limited recommended dividend of 1.50 rupees. Ashiana Housing Limited to recommend dividend, 30/5. Pressman Advertising Limited to consider payment of dividend, 30/5. KISS Financial Services Limited to recommend final dividend, 30/5. The Indian Wood Products Company Limited to recommend dividend on equity shares, 30/5. Vito Switchgears and Cables Limited to recommend final dividend, 30/5. DAPS Advertising Limited to consider dividend, 29/5. Treasury Solutions Limited to recommend dividend, 30/5. Shivalik Rasayan Limited to consider final dividend on equity shares, 29/5. Rachara Papers Limited to recommend dividend, 29/5. Panasonic Energy India Company Limited to declare dividend, 30/5. Medicament Biotech Limited to consider final dividend on equity shares, 29/5. Vidli Restaurants Limited to recommend dividend, 30/5. Hind Prakash Industries Limited to recommend dividend on equity shares, 29/5. KIOCL Limited to consider final dividend, 30/5. Sudati Industries Limited to recommend dividend, 30/5. Asian Star Co Limited to consider equity dividend, 29/5. Afflux Limited to consider payment of dividend, 30/5. Jindal Worldwide Limited to consider final dividend, 30/5. Ventura Guarantee Limited to consider dividend, 30/5. Gujarat Apollo Industries Limited to recommend dividend, 30/5. Meenakshi Coated Metals and Industries Limited to consider final dividend on equity shares, 30/5. Gallant Ispat Limited to consider dividend, 29/5. Salem Road Investments Limited to recommend dividend, 29/5. Sealmatic India Limited to consider final dividend, 29/5. Toparia Tools Limited to recommend final dividend, 30/5. Fermenta Biotech Limited to consider final dividend on equity shares, 29/5. Vadilal Industries Limited to recommend dividend, 29/5. Sycogen India Limited. Recommended dividend of 0.60 rupees. Medico Intercontinental Limited. To recommend dividend 29/5. QGO Finance Limited. To consider payment of first interim dividend 29/5. The 8th of June 2023. Bambino Agro Industries Limited. To recommend final dividend 29/5. Malcolm India Limited. To consider payment of dividend 29/5. ASI Industries Limited. To consider dividend 29/5. India Gelatin and Chemicals Limited. Recommended dividend of 5 rupees. Compucom Software Limited. Recommended final dividend 0.40 rupees. IL&FS Investment Managers Limited. To consider declaration of dividend 30/5. AstraZeneca Pharma India Limited. To recommend dividend on equity shares 30/5. Vadilal Enterprises Limited. To recommend dividend 29/5. Shrialata Spinning Mills Limited. To consider dividend 29/5. Unipats India Limited. To consider second interim dividend 25/5. Steel Authority of India Limited. To consider final dividend 25/5. Radiant Cash Management Services Limited. Recommended final dividend of 2 rupees. Torrent Power Limited. To recommend final dividend 29/5. Gufic Biosciences Limited. To consider dividend 29/5. Nitin Castings Limited. To declare dividend 30/5. Pravag Limited. To recommend dividend on equity shares 30/5. BCPL Railway Infrastructure Limited. To recommend final dividend 30/5. Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. To recommend dividend Panchal Organics Limited. To consider dividend 30/5. Phase 3 Autofab Limited. Delisting offer at the rate of 64.22 rupees. Force Motors Limited. To consider dividend 29/5. Nite Limited. To consider final dividend 29/5. Capri Global Capital Limited. Recommended final dividend of 0.50 rupees. NPR Finance Limited. To recommend dividend 30/5. Thanks for watching. Please thumbs up if you like, subscribe, press the bell icon and never miss an update. Share and comment your thoughts on the comment section. And stay tuned with Corporate Actions India.